Welcome to Property Ladder, the show that helps turn tired old houses into cold, hard cash. Next door neighbours Jamie Whitcombe and Jane Albourne need their very first development to be a massive success. Jamie was a transport manager. He's married with 3 children. Jane was a fashion designer. She's a single mum. Both recently lost their jobs and they've invested everything hoping this will be the start of their new future.
I'm doing all the planning, the design, and I'll make sure that every room looks really great at the end of the project.
For me, it's all the structural. Ripping everything out, putting it back together. Jane's decided the changes she wants to make. I'm confident I can make them.
It took them 3 months to find, but they're convinced this Victorian end terrace in Market Harborough is the answer. It's a first-time developer's dream. Structurally sound but untouched for 20 years, the house needs a new heating system, a new kitchen and completely rewiring. As well as extensive damp work, it needs redecoration throughout. And the large back garden needs landscaping. Having both lost their jobs, Jamie and Jane intend to work here full-time and get the property back on the market in just 10 weeks. So what made you decide to do this project together?
Well, it's something that I've always wanted to do, really, but couldn't afford to finance it on my own. I put the feelers out and Jane came across and said, yeah, I'll do it with you.
And you're neighbours, is that right?
That's right.
And good friends?
Yes, neighbours and socialise together.
So it was just a moment of inspiration?
Just a moment.
It really was a non-discuss, do you want to do it? Yes. Wow, knocked me off my chair.
How much did you buy it for?
100,000.
And how much are you planning on spending on it?
11,000.
Okay, so that's 11,000, and then what do you hope to sell it for?
Well, we keep looking at the market constantly.
We do, yeah.
But at the beginning, we picked 135.
Okay, so that's a £24,000 profit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is 12,000 each-ish.
Thereabouts,
Yes.
yeah.
Jamie's remortgaged the family home to finance his share of this project. And Jane's invested all of her savings to raise the purchase price of £100,000 and the budget of just £11,000 to cover all of the works and fees. With no income to fall back on, they have to bring this project in on time and budget. But if they can sell for £135,000, they'd earn a very respectable £24,000 profit for 10 weeks hard work. This is a huge investment for neighbours who've only known each other for a couple of years, because if things go wrong, they have everything to lose. Do you have any legal contract between you that you've tied up?
No.
And what's going to happen if one of you decides you don't want to finish the project?
We have talked about this as well, and we were started putting a legal document together, and we found it was so difficult.
Yeah, just too complicated, really.
We've both said we'll dedicate our lives to this for the next 10 weeks.
Yeah.
For 10 weeks?
Yes.
10
And that's how long the project's going to take, is
Yes.
it?
It will do, yeah.
With so much resting on this development, it's a mistake not to have drawn up a contract. If you're working with anyone else, even a close friend, I would always recommend a legal agreement that sets out how the development will work. The property is a 2-up, 2-down, and its layout is pretty much what you'd expect. On the ground floor, there are 2 reasonably sized reception rooms. The living room is at the front of the house, and there's a dining room behind. There's also a small back addition with a kitchen and pantry and outside loo. Upstairs, there's a double bedroom at the front of the house and a smaller second bedroom to the rear, with a bathroom in the back addition. Although the layout up here isn't going to change, it's desperately in need of some love and attention. They're the one thing that I think's worth keeping. Jamie and Jane want to ditch.
It's not arranged very well in here at the moment, so we're going to lose this and then put a semi-recessed wash basin. Is a semi-recessed one.
We're boxing
Not this
all
one.
of the...
No.
Why aren't you using that?
I looked at that and I thought that was fantastic as soon as I saw it as well. It is gorgeous. When I came to look at it again, it is quite cream. And if we're putting a new bath in and a new toilet, it's going to look as though it doesn't match.
It won't fit in.
I think that is actually the original basin from this house, which so few people actually still have the original bathroom. It seems terrible to take it out.
And what about the toilet?
Just change the system, the pan's fine. And then put clear glass in the windows so you can see out across the garden. It'd be beautiful in here. At a fraction of the price. I think it's mad throwing out an original suite. Period features will often help sell a property, and developers spend thousands putting them back in. But after 27 years designing clothes, Jane can't help having design ideas for everything. So this is going to be a dining room, is it?
Yes. It is, yes.
And what are you going to do?
Well, we're going to open it up a little bit. Got two sliding doors here that are both coming off. And this door's coming off, and this is where we disagree a little bit, because I'd like to put it back on. And Jane's got other ideas on it.
And why do you think it should stay off?
If you put a door on, it won't fit very well. It'll have to come above the step, and I can see it now, and it'll look a mess, and I don't like it.
If the people that buy the house maybe have a little one, or are looking to have a child, when you're entertaining down in the dining room or just cooking in the kitchen or whatever, the noise is going to go carrying up the stairs. And I just feel if you could block it off.
Okay, well, I don't think these people have got a child. They definitely haven't. And they're doing dinner parties, and it is all open plan. And when they do have a child, they'll stop doing dinner parties and they'll buy another house. So, door off.
Although Jane's adamant this house is just for young professionals, she only has to look out of her window to see the area shouts young families. It's set within easy reach of the town centre, opposite a common and right beside a children's playground. Jane's decision that this house won't be sold to a young family is a big mistake, because when you're developing, it's crucial to make your property appeal to as many people as possible. But that's not the only place they're going wrong. Downstairs, the house has two cellars, and Jamie has big plans for them.
In my mind, these are two that I'm sort of trying to take control of a little bit. I can see myself in here, in this part of the cellar, using it as a computer room stroke office room.
Right.
These were apparently used as washrooms. For me, I don't think it's that damp.
It's incredibly damp, and it's actually wet down here. Can you not smell the damp?
I can, but I've smelled worse damp.
Converting these cellars would be a massive job. The entire floor needs lowering by at least a foot, and they have to stop the damp. This means tanking or waterproofing the entire cellar, which doesn't come cheap. To do the cellars, it's going to cost about £15,000, and I personally think it's really unlikely it's going to add £15,000 of value to the house, considering that it's got 2 bedrooms, it's got 3 reception rooms, it's very well balanced already.
True, but I wouldn't even be looking to spend 10% of your estimate there. All I want to do in this cellar is give the perception that these rooms can be used.
From the moment we came in this property, Jamie came down here and just went, wow, 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 this is the house for me. So he just loves it down here.
Jamie and Jane need to remember they're not going to live here, and any money they spend on the cellar will just eat into their £11,000 budget. They've only allocated £2,800 for a new kitchen, new bathroom and a new downstairs loo, £3,850 for all building work, £1,300 for the garden and a new back door, £450 for redecoration, and just £500 for converting the cellar. With £2,100 fees, expenses and contingency, the total is £11,000. After weeks out of work, Jamie's desperate to get started, and as soon as he gets the key, he's demolishing. Within minutes, the internal porch has gone, which is a big improvement and will make the room feel much larger. Upstairs, Jane's decided, and the original bathroom suite's heading for the skip. That's if they can ever get it out.
It'll be all right. Oh, man.
They're smashing their way through this house at incredible speed. But they're only one day into this development, and Jane's design ideas are already causing problems.
Do you want that old bit in your eating place? Because that doesn't fit in with the kitchen. But all that goes in there.
It ain't broke.
Neighbours Jamie Whitcombe and Jane Albourne started work on their first development just 1 week ago. Close to the centre of Market Harborough in Leicestershire, they hope to spend just 10 weeks and £11,000 refurbishing the house before selling it on for a cool £24,000 profit.
Fantastic.
I think when we do hit crises, I'll be able to get us through them.
I do have a lot of stamina. I'll keep going right till the end, until I drop.
This could have been a simple development, a new kitchen and bringing the decoration up to date. But after 27 years designing clothes, Jane's now intent on redesigning every inch of the house. She doesn't think the fireplace fits in with the look she's planning for the dining room, so she wants it moved into the lounge.
What do you think of that?
I don't think that's too bad. Looking at it.
And when you're eating in here and it's all very modern and fresh and everything else, do you want that old bit in your eating place? Because that doesn't fit in with the kitchen. Doesn't go with it. But all that goes in there.
It ain't broke.
No, I'm going to have to look at it for a while because I don't think I want that in here. Really. I want it in there.
But Jane's designs for the kitchen are far more drastic. At one end, she plans to move the door to the dining room. At the other, she intends to rip out the old pantry and outside loo and replace it with a small utility area, a new inside loo, and add a single back door into the garden. Why do you think it's so important to have a downstairs loo there?
I definitely want a downstairs loo. That was in the plans right from the very beginning.
But this is a two-bedroom house for a start. So I feel that a two-bedroom house only needs one bathroom. It doesn't need another downstairs loo. And visually, you've got the most magnificent garden out there. I mean, it's amazing. So I don't know why you don't just take all this wall out, have a pair of fully glazed doors at the end of here, so that you actually feel like you're in the garden when you're in the kitchen, rather than just have a picture window going out into the garden. I think Jane's new layout and this very small back door just don't make the most of what they've got. If she got rid of the loo and the utility area and put in big French doors, she'd open the room up completely. The small kitchen would feel double the size and look out onto the fantastic garden, which at the moment you can't see from anywhere in the house.
I see where you're coming from, but not convinced.
And I want a downstairs loo.
You really want
and I want a downstairs loo as well.
At the cost of a magnificent kitchen.
No, it already is a magnificent kitchen.
I think it'll be quite small and quite pokey.
Right.
And that'll change.
Okay. It's often said that kitchens sell houses. And whilst I don't think that this is entirely true, a good kitchen will certainly make it easier, and a bad one can stop a sale. So I'm taking them to a house just down the road, where I hope Jane will see just how fantastic their kitchen could be. This is the kind of look that you could end up with double doors.
Wow.
Isn't it gorgeous?
Yes, it is.
Have I persuaded you?
No.
No, it is
It is
nice,
gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this is what I mean by, as we walk through, I mean, this is a really nice house. As you walk through the house, it gets sort of bigger and bigger and opens up and opens up and opens up until you've got this magnificent view of the garden. What do you think?
I don't know. Have they got a downstairs toilet here? Right. Okay, yeah. But it does look nice. I do see, what you're talking about.
Right.
It's certainly given me something to think about. I think it looks nice.
That's all I ask. But after some careful consideration, Jane decides her plans were right all along, and work on the kitchen gets underway.
Wow, my kitchen looks wonderful.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Under the lino, they discover the original quarry tile floor.
So what are you putting on top of this?
I'm putting on top of this new tiles.
I would be inclined to keep them. But as I've got absolutely nothing to do with the finish, I couldn't care less really, as long as it looks nice.
Although Jamie seems happy to leave all the decision-making to Jane, he does have a big role to play. In order to keep costs down, he's doing all the building and structural work himself. But his only experience is working as a labourer 17 years ago.
You know, I'm pretty confident I can do all these things, but until I actually get the stuff out and give it a go, I don't actually know. I keep convincing myself.
He may have convinced himself, but I'm worried Jamie just doesn't have enough experience to do the structural work he's got planned. He's moving the doorway between the kitchen and the dining room. This is a load-bearing wall and carries the entire weight of the house above. But Jamie seems to be supporting it on a few bits of broken brick. Even though Jane hasn't drawn any proper plans, Jamie started work building the new utility area and their new loo. Although they were desperately trying to cut back, getting this building work wrong could end up costing time and money Jamie and Jane simply don't have. But after 2 days spent digging out the drains, Jamie doesn't seem entirely sure the new loo will fit.
Just come and have a look at this then. I think depth-wise, the toilet's not going to be a problem. Any bloke, you're only going to get to here.
Yeah.
And your tank's going to be either here.
Yeah.
Because you can get a slimline plastic one or whatever.
Yeah.
He needs to convince Jane the space he's built is actually big enough to fit the loo in.
At the end of the day, as long as it's got a ball cob and holds water, tank's a tank. So, and I'm sure you can get different designs, or we can put it on that wall, pipes all out the way, toilet fits.
Definitely need to think about it.
Okay. Got to think quick.
Okay. I'll have thought by tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Can you cope by tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
A week later, I've come to see whether Jamie has managed to convince Jane the loo is really big enough. Though just one glance, and I'm pretty sure there won't even be room to turn around in it. You've got your reversing loo, which is nice and spacious.
You might be reversing in, but I'm going in forwards and then turning
on like this.
I've had bricks in there all week and I've been sitting on them. And I know a toilet fits in there okay.
I do not feel, though, that now that you've opened up this space and you've opened up this doorway, so it was great view through, it would look better in here if you could have big glazed doors on the end of the kitchen.
It would look better, but looking good doesn't help a family to be practical. And they need a downstairs toilet, they need a good washing machine, and it needs to look nice in here. So I'm sticking with my plans.
So this is for children, this house, not for young professionals?
It's young professionals who within 2 weeks have had 2 children.
Hey.
You're as clear as mud about this, aren't you?
She's coming round to my way of thinking of sell it to anyone.
From the start of this development, Jane's been determined that her design ideas will improve the house. But I think she's taking a gamble with their life savings. There's so much riding on this property. I'm worried that Jane and Jamie can't afford to get it wrong. Well, I'm happy to see you haven't touched anything down here. Have you decided against the cellar plans?
No, not at all. I still believe that they're 2 great-sized rooms, and at the minute the potential just isn't shown at all. There's a window going to be put in the hatch just there.
Well, can you not just abandon these plans now? I mean, you don't have to do any of it.
Oh, well, yeah, I could abandon them
it's not going
straight
to cost.
away.
If you don't do it, you'll just save money all round.
I've actually ordered the window.
You've already ordered it.
I placed the order with the window when we did the door, yeah.
Can you cancel that order?
Not really, no, it's already been done.
This is a total waste. The cellar's so damp, all they should do is clean it up and leave it alone. But Jamie's just being too personal and risking throwing their profit down the drain. If this was Jamie's home, then the fact that he loves the cellar would be a good enough reason for doing it up. But it isn't. And every penny he spends, he should be asking, will this actually add value to the property? I brought this with me today. This is a humidity tester. And this humidity tester says it's 93.2% humidity. And a normal habitable room should be between 40 and 60% maximum humidity.
Right.
So you can't actually be down here and use this room. So ordering a window and paying for a window and having a window put in here Just seems, A, seems though you did it too early, and B, like a waste of money.
Jamie's not giving up on it yet.
He's not.
I've still got my 350, 400 quid budget for this, and I've still got the time budgeted for this.
I mean, it really is unpleasant down here.
And I just think it's a real shame not to do anything.
If Jamie carries out his plans on the cellar, it will eat into their profits. There's also a real danger it may make people wonder what else hasn't been done properly. So what's been going on over here then? You've put this doorway and this doorway in, have you?
Yeah, moved both of them over now.
Right. And have you had a surveyor in here? Have you had the district surveyor?
Well, last week we were having a discussion as to what lintels to put in. Thought it best to phone the council and get some advice.
I'm just really quite concerned about the fact that there's brickwork here and a lump of wood here and a bit of sand and cement here, and then there's wood here. And that one over there looks amazingly unlevel. Is it meant to be level?
It is level.
Is it? Have you got a level?
I've not, no.
I think the point is decorating and stripping wallpaper is relatively straightforward, and you can either see if you've done it right or see if you've done it wrong. But this is the kind of problem that if you don't do this kind of thing right, it'll come back to haunt you with knobs on. Despite Jamie struggling to keep on top of the major structural jobs, Jane's new design whims are creating more and more work, including moving the dining room fireplace.
I'm 50% convinced that I want this surround in that room, but until I see it in there, I'm not sure.
At the minute, I'm just looking at how it's fixed to the wall because I want to take it out complete with the minimal amount of damage. It's all right, it's not broke.
It's smashed to pieces. I want it back.
But after all that hard work and smashing the thing to pieces, Jane changes her mind and wants the fireplace back in the dining room.
It obviously came in pieces, so I'll strip it all in pieces and Jamie can put it back.
It's now 6 weeks into this 10-week project, and downstairs is in absolute chaos. They've built a loo that's too small, they're in danger of spoiling the kitchen, and they've smashed the fireplace to pieces. Upstairs, thankfully, things are coming together. The bathroom and landing are being plastered, and hoping to save money, Jane's decided to sand all of the floors.
Before we bought the property, it was all carpeted in every room, but I pulled up the corners just to see what was underneath and found they were all original boards, looking quite a good condition as well, and it's a very inexpensive way of getting a lovely look to a property.
There are lots of DIY jobs that people think will save them money, but these can be a false economy. Stripping floorboards back can look fantastic, but it certainly isn't an easy job to do. So if you want the look for your development, then that's fine, but it won't necessarily save you money. The cost of sandpaper, the sander, varnish and time all add up. A carpet can be less expensive and is certainly quicker and easier to do. Stripping Artex is often thought cheaper and quicker than skimming over it with plaster, but it's difficult, dirty and expensive. Stripping paint off doors takes time, effort and money. Again, if you want the unpainted wood effect, done well, they can look great. But this is much more expensive than a simple coat of paint. Jamie and Jane are doing well, and by working 7 days a week, they've kept the development on target. But I'm worried that Jamie just isn't experienced enough to have done all the structural work alone. Major work, like altering a supporting wall in a house, will always need to be signed off by a building inspector. Without that, they'll have difficulty selling. But there's a problem.
Yeah, what you need to do here, Jamie, is cut out the timber plate and then brick this through. Now it wants to come out. You've got your bricks on edge as well, so you've not got the full bearing. It's for what it is. It'd be well worth taking that out. Yeah, okay.
And the downstairs loo is too small.
Wash hand basin, that side, it seems to me to be extremely tight to get the WC and the door way in.
Right.
Where will the wash hand basin go?
Over. Well, we weren't actually going to have one, but if it needs one, it can go over.
You've got to have a wash hand back, because you can't come out of the WC and then
into the
go
kitchen.
to the kitchen to wash your hands.
Right.
You need a separate wash hand basin within the WC compartment.
Doesn't matter what size.
No, it can be.
As long as you can wash your
It's
hands.
extremely tight. I mean, because you've got a back door there, do you really need another door in here?
It's just the way we design the kitchen.
Jamie and Jane have been determined to fit this loo in from day one, and after spending time and money building it, this is a major setback.
I want to rethink.
You want to rethink?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Fine by me.
Okay. I'm going to do a woman change now, all right?
It's staying. I don't care what she says, it's staying.
It's crucial they get this sorted out and get the job finished.
I think it'll be a real shame for me to have spent 2.5 days in there for it to be completely changed. I don't think it will be, and I'll spit me dummy out if it does.
It's 7 weeks into neighbours Jamie Whitcombe and Jane Albourne's first development, and what could have been a simple project has become more and more complicated.
Yes, there are changes and challenges, but I think that's what makes the project exciting.
Years of designing clothes has made Jane very sure about all her ideas from the start of this development, including building a new downstairs loo, which I think is unnecessary in a small house like this. And the building inspector thinks it's just too small to work.
If everyone's saying to me it's too small, then I've got to listen. I'm not one for not listening. So
I'm not telling you it's too small.
You're not telling me it's too small.
But I spent 2.5 days in there.
A few days later, a decision's been made, but not the one that I'd have expected. When I last was here, you were saying, we've got to do this because we must have a downstairs loo, so we can't have double doors at the end of the kitchen and have it all opening into the garden.
Oh, this is how flexible we are, because this house hasn't got a cloakroom. It's nowhere to put your shoes and coats when you come in. I'll keep the hoover. So this area is now a little cloakroom area.
And not a downstairs loo.
And not a downstairs loo.
And why isn't it going to be a downstairs loo?
An oversight certainly an oversight on my part. I didn't realise that you actually needed a hand basin in the direct vicinity of the toilet. And while the toilet fitted but was tight, a toilet and hand basin just doesn't really fit.
I think you're squirming out of a hole here.
I was squirming out of a hole last week down there.
This is mad. The house didn't need a downstairs loo there, and it certainly doesn't need a cloakroom. Jamie and Jane had another chance to get the layout right, and they've thrown it away. But Jane's made up her mind, and work pushes on, including cutting a small new back door.
We've had another really good week. I've progressed loads and loads. Everything's to schedule at the moment, and I'm just busy painting.
My job for this week is get the kitchen sorted, and all but one wall's going to be done. So, yeah, fantastic.
Although for the most part, Jamie seemed happy to leave the decisions to Jane, there are 1 or 2 areas where he's still sticking to his guns. And certainly in the dining room, I think Jane should listen.
This one I want to put the door back on.
And this one I want to keep the door off, so we've not moved on that at all.
Once it's on and it's fitted, I think Jane will come round to that one.
Once it's on and you see it hanging halfway up a wall, you'll think I was right and there should be a door. The argument continues.
Jamie's big thing has always been the cellar, which I think is a very big mistake. It's so damp the plumber and electrician have refused to do any work down there, and I'm hoping he's finally given up. So you're still doing the cellar?
Up until last night, I was doing nothing at all.
Up until last night?
Yes, yesterday we had the woodworm treatment delivered, and it turns out that they not only manufacture and supply tanking systems.
Hang on, so you're planning on doing a proper cellar conversion now?
Not planning on doing a proper cellar conversion, but one of the things that put me off was sort of 15,000 cost to do it.
But the main cost of a cellar conversion is the labour, and the materials aren't that expensive, and that means that you are going to have to be down there digging out the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in manual terms, it's a pig of a job.
And that's exactly what they said.
So does Jane know about this?
She doesn't.
She doesn't?
No.
This is a bad idea, but Jamie's convinced that if he does all the work himself, he'll still be able to convert the cellar on his £500 budget and an awful lot of hard work. But I don't think he realises just how much digging he's going to have to do. This would take a specialist company weeks. Jamie's killing himself working nights when it just isn't going to add money to this house.
Okay. No pain, no gain.
He should be spending his time upstairs, because this is where it'll make them money. But the house is a long way from finished, and they haven't even touched the massive garden. It could be such a great selling point if they get it right. Gardens are crucial and should be started early, because the sooner you get the plants in, the more time they have to establish and grow. You can buy mature plants, but the bigger they are, the more they cost. Design the garden to appeal to your market. Jamie and Jane are trying to sell this house to young professionals and young families. Families will be looking for a safe area for children to play. Young professionals will be looking for more low-maintenance areas. Both will be looking for a great area to entertain. Jamie and Jane's garden could easily work for both markets, but they should be planning this area carefully to make the most of it and maximise their profit. A lot of Jamie's time and energy is going into the cellar instead. But after excavating an area to check out the foundations, the building inspector's given Jamie some very bad news.
We can't go below the foundation, and there's no foundation, which basically is, upsetting for me, because I was really up for the challenge.
It's upsetting for me now as well, because I think I'd finally come round to the idea of doing the cellars.
Having no foundations finally kills off any ideas Jamie has for the cellar stone dead. The only way to sort this out will cost thousands of pounds they simply don't have. Jamie has worked incredibly hard day and night to keep costs down, but this project has also been about Jane's vision. Do you think that you've annoyed him at all?
Oh, gosh, yes. It says at the end of every week, at the start of every day, will you get off my back? Because I won't leave him alone. Every time he thinks he's finished, he has a list and he has another job. And it drove him crazy at first. And on Monday morning, he said, "Where's my list? I love lists." So that's what happened. And when it all goes wrong, he doesn't get mad with me. And I'm sure he would if he was my husband. I think he'd be furious. But he just thinks, and gets on with it.
I may not have agreed with all Jane's ideas, but she has managed this project very carefully and even found money to cover Jamie's extravagancies in the cellar and their brand new back door. And the kitchen's all in place. So how much was the door at the back of the kitchen?
I think it was about £600.
£600 for a door? That's quite a lot.
I have no regrets at all about not putting a double door in there. I'm happy with the boiler, I'm happy with the washing machine, I'm happy with the other utility area.
How much did it end up costing in total?
The units were 577, the appliances 450.
So for the whole kitchen, what's your whole kitchen budget?
I think the total spend for the kitchen comes out at about, including the floor and the boiler, about £1,600.
That's really fantastic, isn't it?
Jane said that she was going to put a kitchen in here for £2,000. And coming in about £400 under is pretty amazing.
Bringing the kitchen in under budget is good news, but there's better still to come. Goodness, this has all changed. What's been going on?
Just slightly.
A lot of changes here.
You're building a fence.
We are, yeah. We've sold part of the garden.
Right. Who did you sell it to?
Quite unexpectedly, our neighbours on this side wanted a bigger garden, so we had a discussion and came up with a deal.
And how much did they pay for it?
£15,000.
£15,000.
£15,000.
And considering your total profit is £24,000, £15,000 is over half your profit again. That's really exciting. Selling half the garden is a brilliant move. They've still got a big plot, but the money may make the difference between failure and success. You should always examine a property and see what other opportunities it's got. An extra garage, outbuildings and unusual plot of land can all earn you extra money. A developer paid £175,000 for this 4-bedroom house, but they realised the potential of the derelict barn next door. They divided the two and sold the barn with planning permission for £90,000. But whatever Jamie and Jane have made on the land, there's still a long way to go on the house. They've had no income for months, they've spent their entire budget, and they've invested everything of themselves into it, which hasn't always been easy. Who makes the decisions? Because it's really Jane that makes the decisions rather than you about this house.
Jane's taken most of the decision-making roles, which I've sort of realised to myself is the better way to do it. So I have just took a back seat and let her make the decisions. And if there was, and I don't think it is a worse thing, but if there was, it's her drive. You know, she really has pushed me along. And sometimes I do think to myself, crikey, I'm only one bloke, you know.
It's now 11 weeks into Jamie and Jane's first development. They had hoped to be finished by now, but with one last push, they should be there. It's got to the bit that Jane's been waiting for, dressing out the house, when she can see all her design ideas come together and find out just how well they will work. After months of watching every penny, she's bought brand new curtains and brand new blinds, which definitely aren't in her budget. But everything else she borrowed from a friend. I only hope the look Jane's tried so hard to achieve is enough to get the top price they both so desperately need.
It could have done with a little bit more care, but some people quite like the rustic look.
I think it's £135,000. It's too expensive.
In just 12 weeks and with an incredible amount of hard work, Jamie and Jane have transformed a tired old terraced house into a modern family home. Getting rid of the porch has opened up the room entirely, and the large furniture shows just how the space can be used. Jane's used mirrors and cool, calm colours throughout the house, which do make it feel bigger as well as tie it together. Opening up the dining room onto the kitchen is another success, though I think Jane should have listened to Jamie and put a door back onto the stairs. There's a new fireplace to replace the one they ripped out, but I have to say they'd have been better off leaving the original well alone. The kitchen is nowhere near what it could have been. The stainless steel fittings do feel clean and modern, but I don't think they've made the most of the space. With no wall units, the room feels narrow, and the cloakroom, utility area and back door make it even worse. And the kitchen's finished now, isn't it? Oh, is it finished, actually?
Is it? Yes, it is finished. Cheeky thing, yes.
I can't leave the kitchen without making a point. Do you think that maybe it would have been nice to actually see more of the garden? I mean, you see about 8 leaves.
Sarah, you and I are never going to agree on this. I'm happy with my utility room. I'm happy with the back door. And there is nothing would make me put double doors at the end of this kitchen.
The expensive back door opens up onto a new terrace that Jamie and Jane's Market will love. I can't help thinking that they could have made more of this great garden. I'm pleased Jamie didn't waste his entire £500 budget on the cellar, but I do think he should have at least given it a sweep. Upstairs, the new bathroom does look good, but I think the old suite in the new room would have looked equally good, giving them more profit, which is what it's all about. They've also rushed some of the jobs, and the finish in some areas could be better. The 2 bedrooms look great, and Jane's hard work on the floors may not have saved her anything, but it does look lovely. The big extravagance, though, is Jane's new curtains and blinds. So how much were all the blinds and drapes?
If you've added it all up, it's about £1,500.
Did you know that £1,500 had been spent on the curtain?
Do now.
Right. Do you feel that was money well spent out of your £11,000 budget? £1,500 on the curtains?
Looks fantastic. Finishes the house. Won't spend it again.
This was a crazy thing to do. Neither of them has a job, and they've invested everything in this place. Well, how much do you think it's now worth?
I've purposely not given that any thought whatsoever. Jane thought she could reach the target of 135. I had in the back of my mind about 120, and that actually breaks me even and serves its purpose, and I've not thought any more than that.
Well, I still hope we'll get 135, but I'm a bit naive in this area yet.
So how much did you end up spending on it?
I think we're around about 11,500.
Which is what you were aiming to spend
Thereabouts.
on it, I believe. Was it? It was 11,000.
It was 11, yeah.
It's not going to be any more than
And does that include your agent's fees to sell and
Everything.
everything?
Yeah.
Jamie and Jane managed to stick to their budget because wherever they overspent, Jane clawed back money from other areas. They budgeted £2,800 for the new kitchen, bathroom and downstairs loo. And despite wasting time and money on the loo, they still saved £300. The building work should have cost £3,850, but by working flat out, Jamie saved £550. They budgeted £1,300 for the garden and back door, and despite blowing £600 on the door, they spent next to nothing on the rest. They'd allowed £500 for the cellar, but they only wasted £200. Fees cost an extra £400, but the decoration and dressing went from £450 to £2,000, which was almost entirely Jane's overspending on the blinds. I only hope it's all been worth it.
Yes, that's nice.
Everything about the room's lovely. It'll appeal to a lot of people, I think.
It just feels very, very good quality in here.
I like the fact they kept the fireplace.
It would be nice to have patio doors on the back here, so you walk straight out into the garden.
They've retained a lot of the original character, like the doors, the floors.
Well, I love the property. I think what they've done to the property itself is really nice.
The one slight concern I've got is that there's no wall units.
Oh, so good use of space.
The downsides, I have to say, are probably the cellar. I would have hoped they would have done a little bit more with the cellar.
Based on my inspection this morning, I'd value this property at £120,000.
As it stands at the moment, I would value the property at £125,000.
I think based on the current market at the moment, it's a very well presented property, and I'd value the property at about £135,000.
Right. And were they confident at the 135?
Relatively, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Is that good?
Fantastic. That's
Marvellous.
Yeah.
That's kind of made you smile, actually, quite a lot.
Yeah. Bang on. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah. And I'm so glad, because we didn't know when we said 135, so that's really, really good.
If you think Jamie's last job paid £12,000 a year, this could entirely change their lives. They've invested £111,500 by using Jane's savings and Jamie remortgaging his family's home. They've already sold the garden for £15,000. Getting the asking price would make them another £23,500, giving Jamie and Jane a massive £38,500 profit. That's if they can sell.
Wow.
This is nice, and they've opened it up.
Nice original floors, nice furniture. Very good. Very modern.
Oh, wow. Gosh, it's really big, isn't it?
I like how it leads into the kitchen. This is nice.
It's obviously ready to move into.
It could have done with a little bit more care, but some people quite like the rustic look.
The dining room and the kitchen are great for entertaining.
If they could take this wall out to make it a bit more of an extension on the back of the kitchen.
It'd be better to have a door on there, just because of Ellie going up and down the stairs.
Not for me. We can spend any time down here, I don't think.
The location of the house is absolutely great.
It just needs a little bit more landscaping and then it would be...
Putting an offer in on the house, I don't know. I'd have to go home and have a think.
I think at £135,000, it's too expensive.
I think the asking price is about right for the market. And I would probably consider putting in an offer on the property.
Jamie, when you started this was quite a gamble, this project, wasn't it?
Quite possibly the biggest gamble of my life, really. Not my life, my family's life, my children's lives.
So did you feel that you were maybe doing something that was a bit dangerous, putting your whole family through that?
Very dangerous. But it's the one thing that's driven me all the way through.
I'm so glad.
It's been tough, but paid off.
So this is a bit like winning the lottery, I feel, for you, isn't it?
Yes.
And do you think you'll do another one with Jamie if you get that?
I think so. But we wouldn't be under the same pressure for the next one. I mean, I think we want to keep it fairly tight again. But we know how to do it now. A lot more experience for the second one.
So would you, next time round, would you like to employ a decorator, perhaps, to actually do the decoration?
Oh, I don't think I'd want to do that. But...
Oh, really?
No.
You don't want to go that far?
No.
Taking on a project like this with a good friend, let alone a next-door neighbour, would normally be a recipe for disaster. But what Jane and Jamie's project goes to prove is that if you can find the right property, ruthless organisation and good old-fashioned hard work are a winning formula. 4 days after putting the house on the market, Jamie and Jane received an offer of the full asking price. They've already bought their next property and they're raring to go.